Well, hey everybody, here we are. It's again showtime with Kim and Gypsy. We need to start with tonight's oath to our allegiance, and that is just a minute, and we're gonna do it. Seems how not many people know it, I'm gonna share it with you. And this is probably the only American-made flag that we have in our area available, so here it is, okay? You can pledge to it as well. Oath of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Amen. Anyways, I want to thank you for coming back and watching again. 7 o'clock, March 7th, 2021, from beautiful Island Pond, Vermont. It was a great sunny day, about 12 degrees out. That's all I can tell you about the weather. It didn't snow, it didn't rain. It's dark now. The sky shows a few stars and the moon is bright. Other than that, it's dark out. Pretty cold too. Well, we got some paperwork we want to start with tonight, and one will be the annual report in the Brighton, Vermont, also known as Island Pond. We seem to have some discrepancies here in this town, starting back in 2007 when there was apparently an organized crime that was to take my children and perhaps change their DNA through, what's that? The Vermont what? Eugenics? Yeah, that's what I think I'm dealing with here. In fact, I'm pretty darn sure that's what I'm dealing with, seeing how one part of me is Indian, the other part of me is English. One grandpa from Indian and one grandpa from England. I don't know, other than to tell you I've always fought the battle, and I'm still here fighting the battle, and I'm not going to give up until we are all standing together, we all come together, and we win this battle. It's called Evilness. If you look up Island Pond, Vermont, you're going to read about it. You're going to know it's one of the most evil towns in Northeast Kingdom. It's noted to be very haunted. It's known to be very disrupted by the Indians that once lived here and have been buried here for many more years than the ones that want to come and habitate and destroy heritage. I want to start my show with a great thank you to my landlord for understanding humanity. I don't know if he minds, but I'm going to put it out there anyways, Mike. I want to thank you. You're a great landlord. I want to thank you for taking the time and understanding the people that you're dealing with on a regular basis. I don't know how long you've been in the business of being a landlord, but I'm proud to say that I'm a tenant of the Beehive in Island Pond. And if it wasn't for this landlord, those of us that have been violated on a regular basis would continue to be homeless like I was just a few months ago. So here, let's start with that story. 2007, where we left off in the beginning. The school apparently organized an organized crime, and a recap of the beginning preview. All role players being Vermont State Police, detectives, Border Patrol, State's Attorney, the administrator of the town of Brighton, Island Pond, approximately 800 people at the time, 200 of them approximately being family of the 12 tribes that they committed a major crime and raid against their family back in 1984. Well, the same thing apparently is what happened to me in 2007. Because picking up where I left off about the vandalism that happened at my home before I moved, I had taken my youngest daughter, who at the time had just graduated from pre-K, so this was all a big year for everybody. High school was starting for one, middle school starting for the other, and kindergarten for my youngest. Being a single mother, I was destined to leave this little town and make it on my own, as I was nearly 2 years divorced, hadn't been with my husband then in 5 years. I was ready to go on. So the role players apparently didn't believe it was a great idea, and again they came at me with a fictitious warrant of abandonment, which I have every transcript from the court. Thank you again to my former attorney, who is now retired. If it wasn't for you, this day wouldn't be here now. I wouldn't be here recording to say I got the proof and the facts that I've been begging for all these years. So in the midst of it all, within a year's time, and mind you, they took my middle daughter on the date of July 19th from the grounds that my grandfather settled, which was Barnstable County, Cape Cod, Massachusetts. The Falmouth Department of Police and their DCF worker. And they told me they were going to wait for me, and they never did. They took my daughter to the police department, and I had to go there to pick her up, which was another lie inspired by them with their story of abandonment and neglect. Never had I ever, or would I ever, leave my children unattended. Throughout the period of time, like I said, without due process, 242 U.S.C. 1983 is a violation of due process. You see, the Vermont State Police never called me. They never asked me. They never did anything. They said they couldn't contact me. Yet they came right to me and they took my children, my daughter, from my grandpa's settled land. Said that she didn't know her whereabouts, or who was around her. She was with her carnival family. She grew up on a carnival because that's what our family is and was and will be, without alteration, because you can't destroy history. No matter how hard you try, the truth is always going to prevail. And so there, I fought. Within a year's time, I had a complete block. I suffered immense trauma. It was great shock to my sister for what they did to me and my children. I ended up with a complete heart block from being a very healthy person. Yes, I suffered from post-traumatic stress disorder and was on disability for it for a couple of years before they took my children, and that caused me more trauma. There was no great diagnosis other than I had a complete block, and the fact is I needed a pacemaker. Now I survive on a second pacemaker, and God only knows, God willing, I'll be a survivor, because they tell me I'm not eligible for another. But all in due time, the main organs do heal. All with good health. I maintain, to the best of my ability, my health, physically, mentally, and however, spiritually. Being a Quaker, we'll get into that on another time. But all due justice is what I ask and then deserved. It wasn't right. Why would you want to destroy somebody's feelings, their family, history, other than possible eugenics? This area is greatly known for eugenics. I want to know, and I'm publicly asking you right now, Island Pond, Vermont, all role players in state and governmental and town officials, How many of you are or have been involved in the Vermont eugenics? How many of you are related to those that were or are into eugenics? How many of you know of cases of the eugenics? How many of you know of the situation that we're discussing right now and you don't want to hear about? That's what I want to know. Did you think that the truth would never prevail? So that explains part of the reason why you all have had filings against you in federal court. The truth is going to prevail. Yes, I've been systematically blocked. I know that. I know that you've had your police officers pounding on my doors unjustifiably. I know this little dog right here is my cardio dog. She's a service dog. She suffers tremendously now from trauma due to the negligence of the role players, of the state and government officials, and this is solely on every word that I say. I affirm to be to my best of knowledge, recollection, and belief. This is my opinion, this is my story, and I have the right to say how I feel. Anything that is mentioned in this video from the beginning to the end, again, is by opinion of how I feel and facts of what took place. So there will be no I called him or her or it anything. I am a Quaker by belief in religion, and I take very great pride in my heritage. I don't believe for a minute that keeping my children from me, destroying a family, violating my rights to be a parent without due process, I don't believe that it says that you can do that. I don't believe that this is something that the constitutional rights include. I believe, if I'm correct, that my rights are to include to be a parent. I believe that my children's rights are to have their parents. I would have never stopped my kids, and I never did stop my kids from seeing their fathers. But I certainly was stopped from seeing my daughters. And that's disgusting. That's disgusting. Because all the role players here were all people that we're supposed to represent we, the people. And you have violated our trust. You have violated my trust. You have jeopardized my life. When your officers get away with criminally threatening my life, they're not only threatening me in violating my rights, committing acts of misconduct. And again, this is all my belief and opinion. And the fact is, I have rights, and I'm going to utilize my rights. Now, I would like to publicly ask for all of you in Island Pond, Vermont, that are aware of the situation that took place in 2007 with my family from Hillside Acres, the Crossings. Please come forward. I have filed billions and millions of dollars in federal court. I have now asked for a change of venue, conflict of interest, due to every attorney and agency And somehow, some way, in the judges as well as the politicians too are all connected, whether they went to school together, they ate lunch together, they slept together, however it may be. They're all a conflict of interest. This again seems to be a systematical situation, and it's very clear to me what happened was greatly a possibility of a conspired crime called organized kidnapping by the state of Vermont, which goes from Vermont to Florida, due to the fact that my daughter, who was found to be abused by Jeffrey Hare, and I have the paperwork to prove it from my case file. Jeffrey Hare abused my daughter. He was the Border Patrol husband to the teacher Mary Hare, who was an IEP teacher for Island Pond Brighton Elementary School, who put my daughter on IEP without my acknowledgement, and then apparently groomed my daughter into going with her on class little trips and out of school and across the state line to Littleton Walmart, is what Mrs. Gervais told me. Yeah, Jocelyn Gervais, she told me that when I would call to check on my daughter because they had her diagnosed with Crohn's, which, again, Island Pond Health Center, I would not recommend anybody to go there. I know my daughter had a rash that she was tended for. She was looked at by the Skowhegan Hospital in Skowhegan, Maine, emergency room, and they told me that it had to be ringworm. Well, I can tell you right now that about 3 years later, my daughter had all symptoms of Lyme disease, and she still has all symptoms of. And however, Dr. Primo, I've asked him several times to have my daughter tested. We know there's only one test, two tests. No, there's 3 tests. And I also have knowledge that some of the labs were paid to give false tests. Now, Lyme disease is horrible. I have it myself, and so does my dog. I know what it's like. I know what that bullseye's rash is. And I remember very clearly my daughter being 8 years old, and that rash was apparent. And she remembers it too. She's got symptoms that mimic mine at times. And so publicly, I'm going to ask again, Mr. Primo, Dr. Primo at Island Pond Health Center, I'm asking you to have my daughter once again tested. If you haven't yet, in the past 15 years of me asking you, I am asking you publicly to have my daughter tested without names mentioned, with all tests that are eligible for Lyme disease testing. And I ask that you do this immediately, sir, as I have every right to believe and none to doubt my daughter has Lyme disease, and I have every right and reason to believe that you have misdiagnosed her, and I want it corrected. So, along with that, I asked the town of Brighton Elementary School to come forward with any teachers of acknowledgement that know what happened in 2007. There was a principal named Michael Knox. There was the IEP teacher, Mary Hare. There was the school counselor. Oh yes, the school counselor, Linda Cope. We're looking for Linda Cope. This is a public announcement looking for Linda Cope for paper service of the lawsuit filing against her in federal court for her ill acts of going behind my back and claiming that she counseled with not only me, but my daughters too. She did perhaps put in the paperwork, and I'll never know because I wasn't there, that she counseled with my daughters. But she only came to my house one time, and she did not ever counsel with me. So, again, this is a public announcement for Island Pond, Brighton, Essex County, Vermont. If anybody knows the old guidance, not guidance, but the old school counselor that said she was mental health counselor from Northeast Kingdom Human Services, but was working at Brighton Elementary. It just happens to be that they were all in the same circle. This teacher, the conspiracy with, I had to be home in order for my daughter to go back to school because she had been kicked out for whatever reason, saying that she was bullying some kid. Well, whatever. She was not bullying anybody. To my belief, she was standing up for herself. When somebody's running in their mouth, I had jealousy because my daughter is a natural beautiful blonde with bright fluorescent blue eyes, and so yeah, she was hated on in this little town populated 800 people, but she was adored by the ones that apparently organized a crime to destroy my family. Anyhow, so back to them. Anybody that has acknowledgement of my family, and anybody that's ever experienced ill shiesty dealings with an IEP teacher in Island Pond, Vermont, named Mary Hare, I ask you to please come forward. You can do it out of confidentiality. You can get through to me on Facebook. You can get through to me here. You can leave me an anonymous message somewhere and I will get it. Everybody knows me in this town. Everybody knows I have no ill intent. Everybody knows that I am here to help the people. I'm not about games. I'm all about facts. And so I ask, let's start there. Let's start back within 2007 with everybody that got harassed by Teddy Miller, and perhaps you made complaints and they didn't get heard. Anybody back from 2007, 2008 when Jeffrey Noyce was voted in to be the sheriff of our town. Be anonymous. Give me some tips here, guys. I'm here to help you. I'm not getting paid to help anybody. I'm not asking for any money. I'm asking for you to feel comfortable and confident to come forward and get the help that you deserve. Because it's not the government that's going to help you, and it's not the state that's going to help you. It's not the government that destroyed you. You're running back to the enemy. And when they tell you in counseling, oh, well, you shouldn't be with your wife, or you shouldn't be with your husband, you shouldn't be with your boyfriend, you shouldn't be with your girlfriend, because that's domestic violence, and domestic violence repeats itself. If you think about it, what you're going through when the state and the government officials commit crimes against you is called abuse. It's called abuse of power. It's called misconduct. And what are they telling you? Don't run back to the accuser. The accuser should not run back to the abuser. So the biggest point is that I'm trying to make to you is come to the person that's trying to help you. I'm not law enforcement. I would never want to be law enforcement because I'm not about hurting people. I'm all about healing and helping people. My grandma was a healer witch. Noble healer witch from England, okay? This is no joke, this is no ploy, this is no play. I'm telling you, if you want help, I don't care if you're across the states. Your voice matters. No matter where you're at, no matter who you're with, no matter who's around. Your voice matters. Don't let them silence you anymore like they have me. And every time I speak up, they continue to try to silence me by pounding on my door. 20 minutes after a meeting, they pounded on my door. Why? Because they cut the meeting at the Brighton town office. Well, actually, it wasn't a town office, it was on Zoom. They cut it 45 minutes into it because they were tired of me telling you all what was going on. And then when I asked for the minutes, they coincidentally got erased. From Michael Strait, the trustee's computer. He says there was just for some reason he can't explain, but he just found out that there was a glitch. And there's no recording of the meeting. How coincidental. But I had people that called in. And those people that called in, they were not recognized on the meeting count. And those are creditable people. One right from here in town that's been here for his 60 some odd years. And another one that is a great known visitor to this town. It's a shame to be a liar because the truth is going to prevail. And I still want to know where Quincy O'Gorman is. Why is Quincy not with us today? He is, and we love you for it, Quincy. But he should be here in person. I want the truth, as we all want the truth. So I have sent a petition out. Oh, it's all around town, guys. And if you see me, ask me. I'll pull it out of my pocket, and you can sign it. But we need this done. It says it's still an open investigation. Let's see to it that it gets investigated. Let's bring it to justice. Why is Quincy dead? There's no reason he should be. There's no reason that they should have even been messing with the kid. He was known to have emotional PTSD after all the trauma they put him through when he was a kid, through DCF and putting him in and out of all these different group homes, especially after his daddy passed away. And the trauma that caused him, the way he passed away. Quincy was at my house when that happened, with my kids, being taken care of while the other parents were across from my house now, where I proudly live at the Beehive on the 3rd floor, because I can see everything that's happening now. But I can see that the parents that didn't know where their kids were when they were at my house, getting fed, doing their homework, playing, making friends. But I was the bad parent because I didn't drink, I didn't do drugs, but I was working my way through life as a single parent. I dated somebody that's very reputable out of town and only seen him a couple hours, one day a week. And he didn't meet my children for 6 months until I knew he was okay. But I was a bad parent. I'm the one y'all laughed about because I lost my children. Is that what happened? Well, again, Quincy was at my house when he lost his daddy, and it was a sad situation. And where were you all when he lost his daddy? At the American Legion. What were you all doing at the American Legion? What does anybody do at the American Legion? Were y'all there drinking? Because I was home taking care of your kids at my house while they were getting better grades because they were doing homework together. They were eating meals. They were having snacks. They were interacting with other people that were positive. And that was what you didn't like. But here's the thing. That's what we're here back here today to make that change. And we're going to end this now. And we're going to do another segment. Y'all have a wonderful night and stay blessed. And remember, Gypsy and I are here for you. If you need anything, even those of you that say, oh, you're passive aggressive. No, I just don't want to hear your story. I don't want to hear any bullshit. I don't want any excuses. If y'all have time to play video games, y'all got time to get off your asses and get out there and help the people that can't help themselves. That's my message for you tonight, and that's my opinion, and that's a fact. If you got time to do nothing, you got time to do something. Stand the hell up and represent this country, just like your family members did. You didn't get here by chance, okay? You were created. And the creator is also the destroyer. And if you knew anything about life other than video games, this new generation, you would be out here doing the things that Mother Nature sets out for you to do. Like, go help your neighbors, clear their yards, help clean up the debris that y'all throw out on the ground. Somebody go out there and clean up that ice that you get paid to do by the town, because this town is filled with disabled people and elderly, and you seem to forget that. These people have the right to safety. In the town of Brighton, I make it publicly known, y'all are under lawsuit for these reasons being stated, because you don't take care of we, the people. I see it every day. I am running to be peace officer. We do not need police in this town. We have less than 800 population now that the 12 tribes and this corona bullshit's going on. They're not around. What about the ice buildup? Why are y'all getting these selectmen and these people that do the roads and get paid to do the roads and the sidewalks, and why are they not cleared? I have pictures and I have video that I have added. I want to know why, and I want it cleared. I am demanding, as a taxpayer and as a resident, you work for us. You work for we the people. We don't work for you. You work for me. Therefore, I'm requesting that you